I just watched a video, and I'm always driving. If I'm not working in the shop or I'm out playing music or something like that, then I'm generally driving to go pick something up. And the whole time, I'm always thinking or I'm listening to something. And before I took off this time, there's a little storm going on, so it's like I got a little break in the day. I have to go pick up some water and whatnot. And I always end up buying something extra when I go to Walmart or, Lowe's or Home Depot or the hardware store, whatever. I always find something that I'm like, oh yeah, there's a new Bender idea or something, or I got this really cool idea for a Bigsby that'll keep it in tune. Which I've got a bunch of different things like that I'm always working on. My brain is always working. I don't sleep very well because I'm always thinking. And then I just watched this video with Rick Beato and Tim Pierce, and those guys, and it has something to do with studios. It's like all the studios in LA that are no longer in existence. It's like these jobs will never come back, I think is the name of it, if you guys want to watch it. But getting towards the end of it, they're talking about the same thing. Like, you gotta have a persistence and a drive, but some people are never gonna make it. I'm never gonna make it. I'm never gonna be a big star, superstar, or anything like that. I'm a session guy. I've produced some records and stuff like that, and I've put a bunch of my own records out. And I still go out and play periodically, but I don't play all the time like I used to. And when I first moved to Nashville in 1995, I was playing doubles, triples, quadruples sometimes. I would be working from 10 to 2 in the morning until 10 to 2 in the afternoon at the Turf, and then run across the street and play Legends Corner from 2 to 6, and then I might go sub for Red in the Don Kelly Band from 6 to 10, and then run back across the street and play the Turf from 10 p.m. until 2:45 in the morning with Dale Hooper or whoever. Anyway, the point is, you really got to bust ass. So sometimes you're playing 12 plus hours a day just to survive. That's the way Nashville was for me back in the 90s. And when you're 25 years old, your fingers get limber real quick if you're playing and singing all day long. It'll also burn you out, which it took 3 years for me to completely burn out and say, screw this, I'm going to go get a day job. So I quit playing. Well, the tornado came in 1998, and it wiped out my house gig, which was the Turf. I still played a few gigs. Then me and James Otto and Wylan and another friend of ours kind of put like a little super group type thing together, but I just couldn't commit because I had 3 kids and twins on the way. I just couldn't commit to doing a day job because I got a job at a computer teaching place. So I pretty much quit playing music completely. And I still, I made a couple of B-benders and a couple of guitars for friends of mine, Johnny Highland being one of them, back in 96 or 97. So, there's things like that. You're always kind of reinventing yourself. But I just didn't have enough time to commit to that band. And James just said, hey man, if you can't rehearse, then this ain't gonna work. And I said, well, I guess I'm out then. And I hated that because I love those guys, man. James Otto is a singing son of a bitch and a great songwriter. He co-wrote In Color, and he had that hit, Just Got Started Loving You. Girl, I just got started loving you. Anyway, great singer, great writer, super nice guy. And he has a Chevelle too. So that was another thing. He'd roll up in his Chevelle and park it next to mine out at my place back then it was in Ashland City, Tennessee. But anyway, make a long story short, I've done so many different things. I ended up, I didn't go back in the music business. I just gave it up when I was 28 years old. Completely gave it up. And started kind of working on guitars and doing other things, and then got a job working at a computer place, and then I ended up going to work for Microsoft. And when I went to work for Microsoft, I did that off and on. I'd work for a year, and then you'd have to take a mandatory 100-day break. So I would take that 100-day break, and then I'd go play music, and I'd start teaching. I started teaching pedal steel guitar. I'm a terrible pedal steel guitar player, but at the time, I was one of 3 steel guitar players. 4. There were 3 other guys in Washington, in the Seattle area, that actually played steel. And I would book gigs and stuff. Well, actually, there was another one. There's Dan Tyak, Kenny Alvers. There's just a handful of steel guitar players. So I ended up teaching steel guitar at my home studio, and I started producing people on my 100-day break. And then after that 100 days, I'd go back to work at Microsoft again. And I just kept on doing that. But people kept on asking me to go out and play. And, Kenny would be like, man, I got double booked, need somebody to play guitar for me, man. And I'm like, okay. So I ended up going back playing music again. I was very prolific at that point. I put out 3 more albums. Frankatelli was already out. But I put out Viva Nash Vegas, Living My Life, Long Way Down, and there's another one in there I can't remember. I put out a bunch of albums, self done, recorded at my place. I played all of the instruments on a couple of them, everything from drums to pedal steel. I played everything: mandolin, keyboards, sang everything, sang the harmonies, mixed it, mastered it, produced it, printed it, did the whole thing. I even had the #1 song on mp3.com in 1998 for a while. I was always in the top 10 on mp3.com for like 2 years. I had a song up there. So I was always working that angle. And then out of that, which was kind of crazy, but a couple years later, my songs were starting to get used in TV shows, which was, I had no idea that they were doing it. But I hit that little box in mp3.com that says, anything that makes money. It's just a little radio button or one of the boxes you check. And of that, MTV Networks had bought mp3.com. So, and Getty Images owns it now. But they started using my songs because it said anything that makes money. They started using them as sync songs in TV shows. So CMT, MTV Networks owned CMT and VH1. So any VH1 programming, CMT programming, MTV programming, if they needed country sounding songs, they started using Secondhand Smoke from my Telethon record. Actually, they used the original version of it from my Frankatelli record from 1998, which is all instrumental stuff. The original copy of that was all instrumental stuff. There's a handful of people that have a copy of that. Anyway, I do have a bunch of albums that are out of print, so I should probably load that stuff up and put it on Spotify or something. Nobody's ever going to buy CDs anymore, but most of my albums are on Spotify. There's about 4 of them that I haven't put up on Spotify that I probably should. And if somebody wanted it, they could just hit the download button and I would actually get paid for it. Nobody gets paid on Spotify unless you hit the download button. That's another thing. So, but back to the original idea, the whole guitar company thing, that was totally not in the cards. It's just I've always built guitars for friends or done benders for friends, things like that. But I never planned on starting a guitar company. And I don't make any money doing it, really. There's very little money in it. You're always fighting. You can't spend too much money on advertising and stuff if you don't have any money to start with. So, most guitar companies don't last very long. Some of them go to China, they'll go to China or Indonesia or something, and they'll have those guys make their guitars. And then there's a QC issue. If you don't have boots on the ground in China, then your sample is going to be awesome, but then you're going to get a total piece of crap, and you're going to have 100 of them. So that's the other thing, is everything that I use is built here. I'm 100% made in America. Every piece that you can get made in the United States, I do that. And I'm very proud of that. But there's not a whole lot of money when you do that. So there's that factor as well. That being said, always in the back of my mind is another idea to maybe figure out how to make some money, and survive enough to do another album and do the things that I actually love doing, which is playing music. So my next idea is to maybe start doing some live stuff, like a YouTube live or a Facebook live type thing with a tip jar. I've got a Patreon page. I don't even know what it is. I got a PayPal page at Forrest Lee Jr. FORRESTLEEJR. I think there's a virtual tip jar thing on there too. So that's just a couple of ideas that I've been thinking of, but always in the back of my head, I've got something that I'm working on or something that I need to get done, and then something else pops up and I never get a chance to actually do it. So what I'm doing right now, I am on a run to Walmart to get water. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get a couple of these big 5-gallon water jugs and get water for the water machine. And then I'm going to go back to the shop and I'm probably going to work all night. I got Jimmy Weber's guitar, the Buckocaster. It's one of them brand new Buck Owens guitars. I put a B-bender in it for him. It has a number 10. That's the 10th one I've done. And I've got a couple other ideas going on too that I might do. But there's so many things going on. I started Telethon 2 15 years ago and I haven't finished it. I've been doing session work for other people, but I'm not really playing live anymore because one of the bands that I was playing in, the bar owner that owned the place that we played 4 times a year, and that kind of got us up north to the northeast, he sold the place, and so those gigs kind of dried up. I haven't taken any artist gigs with any, I used to work with, I've played with Sonny Sweeney and Trent Willman and Jace Everett and, just a whole slew of other people. But Krista Marie, that was a fun gig. But I haven't taken any of those gigs. There's a couple of reasons. One, I'm just not I'm not able to pull it off like I used to. I just can't do it. Since I got in an accident and broke my back, standing up is excruciating. The last gig that I took was with Brady Seals, and I was out with Brady for about 3 weeks, and we ended up sitting down for most of the gigs, and I felt so terrible about that because Brady is, Hot Apple Pie. He was a keyboard player and co-lead singer in Little Texas, and he wrote all those Little Texas songs. So there's that. His solo stuff I absolutely love. His Playtime album's got some great stuff. Bobby Terry played all the guitar on it. Bobby's an amazing guitar player, and it's always fun to try to play his licks because he's a badass. And nobody outside of Nashville knows who he is, but everybody in Nashville knows who Bobby Terry is. He's a total badass. He was playing keyboards with us when we opened for Garth because he's Garth's utility guy at the moment. Great songwriter, too. Anyway, yeah, I couldn't do it. The first gig I played with Brady, we played in McMinnville, and we stood up for 2 hours. It was 2 one-hour sets outdoors, and it was all the hits from the Seals and Crofts songs because, he's related to the family, so there's Seals and Crofts 2 thing. Lua was there, Lua Crofts. But at the end of that 2 hours, I was in so much pain. It was so excruciating. I just decided, you know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I didn't quit the gig. I went ahead and went out on the road with him, and I just suffered through the few gigs that we did stand up. But for the most part, we sat down. It was all theater gigs throughout Texas. We played everywhere. Borger, Livingston, you name it. We were all over there. We played the ISIS Theater and the Stockyards in Fort Worth. It was fun, and I totally respect those guys, and I love Brady Seals. He's a great guy too. But yeah, I can't do it anymore. So I'm trying to reinvent myself again. And I think this time I'm going to go back and I'm going to re-release some of my old stuff, and then I'm going to get together with some other friends of mine at a local studio, and we're going to start doing some live stuff. So tune in for that, and like, subscribe, and share.